The Dominion forces retreated in disorder, abandoning their position around Mars. Long-range sensors detected them sending transmission bursts toward distant stars, warning messages to their empire about the threat humanity posed. As the dust settled, Tom received reports from around the solar system. The few remaining alien ground forces were surrendering. Earth had won not just its freedom, but access to technology that would change human civilization forever. In the weeks that followed, humanity began to understand just how complete their victory was. The captured alien databases revealed that the Dominion was already facing rebellions on other conquered worlds, inspired by Earth's resistance. Their empire, built on fear and rigid control, was starting to crumble. Dr. Reed led the team studying the abandoned alien technology. They never innovated, she explained during a global broadcast. They conquered worlds and took their technology, but they never truly understood it. They just used it the same way over and over. We've already found dozens of ways to improve their designs. The first human colonies on Mars were established using modified alien buildings. Engineers began constructing ships that could reach nearby stars. Earth's nations, still united by their shared victory, worked together to plan humanity's expansion into space. Tom stood on the surface of Mars, watching Earth rise over the red horizon. The planet that the Dominion had used as a staging ground for their invasion would now become humanity's first step to the stars. The aliens had meant to conquer Earth. Instead, they had given humans the keys to the galaxy. We found recordings in their databases, Dr. Miller reported during a science conference. They called us primitive because we didn't have faster-than-light travel. They never considered that we might understand their technology better than they did once we got our hands on it. That was the Dominion's fatal mistake. They judged other species by their technology level, never considering their potential. They expected every race they encountered to think and act the same way they did. Humanity had proved them wrong in every possible way. The final piece of the story came from the captured flagship's records. The Dominion had conquered hundreds of worlds over thousands of years, but they had never faced anything like humanity. Other species had fought back with advanced technology, but humans had done something unprecedented. They had taken alien technology and made it their own. Earth's governments began sharing their discoveries with the public. The technology captured from the Dominion would revolutionize everything from medicine to energy production. But more importantly, humanity had learned valuable lessons about unity, adaptability, and the power of creative thinking. As the first human-built starships prepared for their maiden voyages, the galaxy was changing. The Dominion's iron grip on their conquered worlds was failing. Other species, inspired by Earth's victory, were beginning to resist. The age of alien tyranny was ending, replaced by something new. An era of exploration and freedom. The stars that had once seemed so far away were now within reach. Humanity had not just survived an alien invasion. They had emerged stronger, more united, and ready to take their place among the stars. The Dominion had wanted to add Earth to their collection of conquered worlds. Instead, they had awakened a force that would reshape the galaxy itself. The war was over, but humanity's story was just beginning. As Tom watched the first starships rise from Earth's surface, he knew that the greatest adventures still lay ahead. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. The red dust of Mars swirled around the landing struts of Earth's first interplanetary assault carrier. 6 months had passed since the invasion began, and humanity had pushed the Dominion forces all the way back to the Red Planet. The ship, named Earth's Vengeance, was a perfect symbol of how far humans had come. It was built using a mixture of Earth and alien technology, but improved in ways the Dominion had never imagined. Major Tom Walker stood at the command center, looking at the massive alien fleet gathered above Mars. This would be the final battle. The Dominion had called in reinforcements from across their empire, desperate to stop humanity's advance. "All ships report ready," his communications officer announced. The Earth fleet was smaller than the alien armada, but size wasn't everything. They had learned that lesson well. Dr. Anna Reed's voice came over the command channel. She was coordinating the technical aspects of the battle from Earth. Remember, their ships can't handle rapid shield frequency changes. The new weapon systems are designed to exploit that weakness. The human fleet had been modified according to her latest discoveries. They had found ways to make alien technology work better than its original designers ever thought possible. While the Dominion stayed rigid and unchanging, humanity had evolved. "Begin the attack," Tom ordered. The Earth fleet moved forward, but not in the tight formation the aliens expected. Instead, they scattered, attacking from multiple directions at once. The Dominion ships tried to maintain their standard battle lines, but this only made them easier targets. Dr. James Miller watched the battle through his observatory's telescopes. He had developed new sensors that could track the alien ships' energy signatures. "Their fleet is dividing exactly as we predicted," he reported. "They're following standard protocol even now." The space around Mars lit up with energy weapons and nuclear detonations. Earth ships darted between the larger alien vessels, striking weak points that months of study had revealed. The Dominion forces tried to respond, but their rigid tactics were no match for human adaptability. Captain Robert Wilson led a special mission during the chaos of the main battle. His team, flying modified alien shuttles, slipped through the Dominion's lines. Their target was the alien flagship, where the enemy commanders coordinated their forces. "They still haven't upgraded their identification protocols," Robert reported as his ships approached the flagship. They were broadcasting fake Dominion recognition codes copied from captured vessels. They never thought anyone would dare to use their own systems against them. The boarding action was swift and decisive. Robert's troops, now experts at fighting in the aliens' own environment, quickly took control of the flagship's bridge. The Dominion commanders, still struggling with Earth's lighter gravity, couldn't match the human speed and adaptability. "Earth Command, flagship secured," Robert transmitted, "sending the stand-down codes now." This was the moment they had planned for. Using the flagship's command systems, they'd broadcast surrender orders to the entire Dominion fleet. Many alien ships, programmed to obey command protocols without question, began powering down their weapons immediately. Some alien commanders resisted, trying to continue the fight, but they were now cut off from their command structure. Without central coordination, the mighty Dominion fleet fell into chaos. They had never trained for this kind of situation. Their rigid hierarchy had become their greatest weakness. "Look at their formations breaking apart," Tom observed from his command post. "They don't know how to fight without direct orders from above." The battle turned into a rout. Earth ships, now armed with fully understood and improved alien technology, systematically disabled or destroyed any Dominion vessels that continued to resist. The aliens had never faced an enemy who could not only match their technology, but use it better than they could. Dr. Reed's voice came over the command channel again, excitement clear in her tone. "We're detecting massive energy surges from their fleet. They're preparing for faster-than-light jumps. They're running." Dr. Reed watched the battle from the command center, monitoring how their adapted technology performed. "The integration is working better than we hoped," she reported. "Our weapons are actually more effective than the originals because we're using them in ways they never considered." The aliens withdrew to a higher orbit, but the damage was done. Humanity had proven they could not only fight the Dominion but beat them at their own game. More importantly, they had shown that human creativity could overcome alien technology. In the weeks that followed, similar battles took place around the world. Each engagement taught humanity more about their enemies' capabilities and limitations. The aliens, trapped by their own rigid thinking, couldn't adapt fast enough to counter the constantly changing human tactics. Major Walker's next mission was even more ambitious: a direct assault on one of the Dominion's motherships. These massive vessels served as mobile bases for the alien fleet, but their size made them less maneuverable than smaller ships. "Remember," he briefed his pilots, "they expect attacks from other capital ships. They'd never faced anything like what we're about to do." The attack began with a feint, a group of Earth ships challenging the mothership head-on. The Dominion responded exactly as predicted, launching fighters and charging their main weapons. They never saw Tom's squadron approaching from below until it was too late. Using the planet's gravity to gain speed, the Earth fighters shot past the alien defenses before they could respond. They targeted specific points on the mothership's hull, places where their studies had shown the shields were weakest. The battle was chaotic but brief. The mothership's defenses, designed to fight off capital ships, couldn't track the smaller human vessels effectively. When the smoke cleared, the massive alien vessel was drifting powerless in orbit, its crew forced to abandon ship. "Command, this is Walker," Tom reported. "Mothership secured. Sending in boarding teams now." The capture of a Dominion mothership marked another turning point in the war. Inside, humans found detailed maps of alien space, communications protocols, and technical specifications for their most advanced weapons. More importantly, they found proof that the Dominion was starting to fear them. "Look at these reports," Dr. Reed said, examining data from the captured ship. "They're calling us unpredictable, dangerous. They can't understand why their usual tactics aren't working." The answer was simple, though the aliens couldn't see it. Humanity wasn't fighting the way the Dominion expected conquered species to fight. They weren't trying to match alien technology directly. Instead, they were taking that technology and making it their own, improving it in ways the rigid thinking Dominion had never imagined. As Earth's forces grew stronger, the aliens became more desperate. They launched larger attacks, committed more ships to each battle, but it didn't matter. Humans had learned to counter their every move, and they were teaching other conquered worlds to do the same. The war had entered its final phase. Humanity wasn't just defending Earth anymore. They were taking the fight to the stars. And the Dominion, for the first time in its long history, was starting to understand what it meant to be afraid. The old aircraft factory had been converted into something entirely new. Where once humans built simple jets, they now worked on machines that mixed Earth technology with alien engineering. Dr. Anna Reed walked between the production lines, checking progress on their latest breakthrough. "The alien metal responds well to our modifications," she told the engineers gathered around a prototype weapon. They had taken the lightweight but incredibly strong alien armor and reshaped it using Earth manufacturing techniques. The result was better than either human or alien technology alone. In another part of the facility, captured alien energy weapons were being adapted to work with human targeting systems. The aliens' rigid designs had never considered the possibility of their technology being modified. They built everything to be used in exactly one way. Humans had no such limitations. Dr. James Miller, still working from his observatory, had made another crucial discovery. "Their faster-than-light drives leave a trace," he explained over a video call. "Like ripples in space. Once you know what to look for, you can track their ships even after they've jumped away." This discovery changed everything. Humanity had learned not just to defend against the Dominion, but to predict their movements. The aliens' strict adherence to protocols made them vulnerable to anyone who could understand their patterns. Major Tom Walker led the first real counterattack against the alien fleet. His team had practiced for weeks in simulators built from captured alien data. They knew exactly how the enemy would respond because the Dominion never changed their tactics. The battle began at dawn. Modified Earth fighters, now equipped with alien shield technology and energy weapons, rose from hidden bases around the world. The Dominion ships in orbit followed their standard protocol, moving to intercept the attackers head-on. "They're doing exactly what we expected," Tom radioed to his squadron. "Execute Plan Thunder." The Earth fighters split into smaller groups, each attacking from a different angle. The alien ships tried to maintain their formal battle formation, but they couldn't cover all directions at once. Their rigid tactics, designed for fighting traditional space battles, couldn't handle an enemy that refused to follow the rules. The human pilots had trained specifically to exploit the aliens' weaknesses. They knew the exact range where Dominion targeting systems were least effective. They knew how long the alien ships needed to recharge their weapons. Most importantly, they knew how to work together in ways the enemy couldn't predict. "Target their command ship," Tom ordered as they broke through the alien formation. "Remember your training. Hit and fade. Don't let them lock onto you." The Earth fighters darted between the massive alien vessels, their smaller size and greater maneuverability making them difficult targets. The Dominion ships, designed for grand space battles, struggled to track the nimble human craft. Meanwhile, on the ground, Captain Robert Wilson led a different kind of attack. His team had spent months studying the captured alien supply ship. Now they were ready to use that knowledge. "Begin transmission," he ordered. The captured ship's communications array came to life, broadcasting signals that matched Dominion command protocols. The alien fleet's formation wavered as their ships received conflicting orders. The confusion lasted only minutes, but it was enough. Earth's fighters struck hard, their modified weapons tearing through suddenly uncoordinated alien defenses. 3 Dominion cruisers fell before they could restore proper communication. The Dominion withdrew their remaining ships to a higher orbit, but the damage was done. They had lost their aura of invincibility. More importantly, humans now had working alien ships to study, the ones that had crashed relatively intact. Global cooperation reached new levels. Countries shared resources, scientists worked together across borders, and military forces coordinated their actions. Humanity had found its strength not in matching the aliens' technology, but in using creativity and unpredictability. Tom Walker's ground forces developed new tactics using this knowledge. They staged fake retreats to draw alien ships into nuclear EMP traps. They used decoy radio signals to confuse enemy targeting systems. Each success taught them more about their enemy's limitations. The captured supply ship provided another advantage. Inside its computers, they found star charts showing the Dominion supply lines. They were stretched thin, trying to maintain their vast empire. Earth wasn't their only problem. Other conquered worlds were watching and learning. "They're not as strong as they want us to believe," Dr. Reed told the military council. "They rely on fear and overwhelming force. When those don't work, they don't know what to do." As the 3rd month of the invasion drew to a close, the balance of power had shifted. The aliens still had superior technology, but humans had learned to counter it. More importantly, they had learned that technology alone didn't win wars. Robert stood on the bridge of his captured alien ship, now renamed Humanity's Hope. His crew had learned to operate its basic systems, though many functions remained mysterious. But they were learning, adapting, and improving every day. Looking at the alien fleet in orbit, he smiled. The Dominion had made a fundamental mistake. They had judged humanity by their technology level, not their potential. They never considered that giving humans access to advanced technology would only accelerate their own defeat. The war wasn't over, but its course had changed. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for victory. And as the Dominion was learning, nothing was more dangerous than humans who believed they could win. Captain Robert Wilson stood on the bridge of his submarine, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. The alien ships couldn't detect them this far underwater, one of the few advantages humans had discovered. His crew waited in silence as a massive Dominion supply ship passed overhead. "Perfect timing," Robert whispered, though no alien could have heard him through the ocean depths. "Launch the magnetic grapples." The plan was risky. They had noticed the alien ships needed to lower their shields briefly when landing to unload supplies. It was a tiny window of vulnerability, but it might be enough. The submarine's specially designed grappling hooks shot upward through the water, magnetizing only at the last second to avoid detection. They struck true. The alien ship's hull rang like a gong, but by then it was too late. The grapples had locked on, and the submarine's winches were already pulling them upward. As they'd reached the surface, Robert gave the order. "Boarding teams, go." The human soldiers moved fast, using their suits' built-in propulsion to rocket up the cables. The aliens, caught completely off guard, didn't expect an attack from below. By the time they realized what was happening, Earth's forces were already inside their ship. The battle that followed was quick and fierce. The alien crew, struggling in their heavy armor, couldn't match the human speed in close quarters. Within 20 minutes, the supply ship was under human control. "Command, this is Captain Wilson," he radioed once they secured the bridge. "Operation Deep Strike successful. We have ourselves an alien ship." The capture of the supply ship marked a turning point in the war. Inside, scientists found something extraordinary: storage tanks filled with a strange, glowing mineral. Dr. Anna Reed, called in to study the discovery, could hardly contain her excitement. "This is what powers their faster-than-light drives," she explained after running tests. "They can't travel between stars without it, and based on these manifests, they're running low." The mineral was rare, found only in specific types of stars, and none existed in Earth's solar system. The Dominion forces had been counting on a quick victory. They hadn't brought enough supplies for a long campaign. While Dr. Reed studied the alien mineral, resistance movements around the world grew stronger. Humans had learned to spot patterns in the Dominion's patrol routes. Their rigid planning made them predictable. Small groups of fighters began staging coordinated attacks, striking the aliens simultaneously in different locations. The Dominion responded with more orbital bombardment, but they made a crucial mistake. They used the same attack patterns they had used on other worlds. Within days, Earth's military leaders had mapped out their targeting protocols. They always hit military targets first, General Thompson explained during a global strategy meeting. Then communications, then power plants. They never deviate, which means we can set traps. The Battle of the Pacific proved his point. When alien ships moved to attack Pearl Harbor, they found empty buildings and decoy equipment. The real forces were hidden underground, waiting. As soon as the bombardment began, missile launchers emerged from hidden bunkers. The missiles weren't particularly advanced, but they didn't need to be. The aliens, following their standard protocol, had dropped their shields to increase weapon efficiency. Dozens of ships took direct hits before they could react. For the first time since the invasion began, humans destroyed major Dominion vessels. The aliens retreated in disorder, their formation broken. They had never expected such coordination from a primitive species. Dr. Reed made another breakthrough while studying the captured ship's records. The Dominion's shield technology had a critical weakness. It couldn't handle certain types of radiation. Nuclear weapons, she explained. The electromagnetic pulse from a nuclear explosion could overload their entire defensive system. It was a dangerous option, but these were desperate times. The world's nuclear powers came together, agreeing to use their weapons not on Earth, but in space. They modified warheads to maximize EMP effects while minimizing actual explosive damage. The first test of this strategy came when a large alien fleet gathered over Asia. Military bases around the region launched their missiles simultaneously. The aliens, following their standard protocols, tried to shoot them down, but they missed a few. The nuclear detonations lit up the sky like new stars. When the light faded, dozens of alien ships hung dead in orbit, their systems overloaded by the electromagnetic pulses. Some fell back to Earth, while others drifted helplessly in space. They don't innovate during battle, she realized. They stick to pre-approved strategies and equipment. It's like they've forgotten how to adapt. This weakness became more apparent as the weeks passed. Human forces began using guerrilla tactics, striking quickly and disappearing before the aliens could mount an effective response. The invaders kept using the same counter-tactics, even after they repeatedly failed. The turning point came when Tom's team managed to ambush an alien command unit. The fight was brutal but quick. The human soldiers used their greater mobility and the terrain to their advantage, attacking from multiple directions. The aliens, trying to maintain their formal combat formations, couldn't respond effectively. Among the captured equipment was a working alien computer. Dr. Reed and her team worked day and night to decode it. What they found was fascinating. The Dominion was an ancient empire that had conquered many worlds, but they hadn't faced real resistance in thousands of years. Their tactics and technology had remained largely unchanged for generations. They've become victims of their own success, Dr. Reed explained. They're so used to being superior that they never adapted or improved. They expect every species to fall before their advanced technology. But humanity refused to follow that script. Every day, Earth's defenders learned more about their enemy. They discovered that the aliens' energy shields could be overloaded by concentrated fire. Their communication systems could be jammed by properly tuned radio waves. Their rigid hierarchy meant that losing command units threw entire formations into disarray. Tom's unit became specialists in exploiting these weaknesses. They developed new tactics and shared them with other resistance groups around the world. The aliens, despite their superior technology, couldn't adapt fast enough to counter these constantly changing strategies. The Dominion responded by increasing orbital bombardment, but even this played into human hands. Dr. Reed's team had been analyzing the energy readings from alien weapons. They found patterns that could help predict and even deflect some of the attacks. Their biggest weakness is their predictability, she told the military council. They have all this advanced technology, but they use it in the same way every time. Once we understand the pattern, we can find ways around it. As the first month of the invasion drew to a close, humanity had done more than just survive. They had begun to push back. The aliens still held orbital superiority, but their ground forces were increasingly frustrated by human resistance. Tom stood on a hillside, watching his team prepare for another mission. The alien ships still filled the night sky, but they no longer seemed as terrifying as they had at first. Humanity had learned that technology alone didn't determine the outcome of a war. Creativity, adaptability, and determination mattered more. The real question now wasn't whether humanity could resist. They had proved they could do that. The question was whether they could take the fight back to the stars. As Tom watched an alien patrol in the distance, struggling with Earth's gravity, he smiled. The invaders had made a serious mistake. They had given humanity access to their technology, while showing them all their weaknesses. The war was far from over, but for the first time, victory seemed possible. Not just survival, but actual victory. The Dominion was about to learn that they had awakened something they couldn't control. Humanity's unstoppable drive to not just survive, but to overcome any challenge put before them. Major Tom Walker crouched behind a burned-out tank, watching the alien patrol through his binoculars. Their movements were slow and deliberate, almost awkward. It had been 2 weeks since the invasion began, and he'd spent every day studying how the enemy moved. Something about their behavior didn't make sense until now. "They're struggling to walk," he whispered to his team. "Look at how they plant each foot. It's like they're fighting against Earth's gravity with every step." This observation would prove to be crucial. While alien ships continued their orbital bombardment, their ground forces were showing unexpected weaknesses. Tom's unit had been tracking this particular group for 3 days, gathering intelligence on their patterns and capabilities. Back at the underground command center, Dr. Anna Reed was making similar discoveries. She had been working nonstop studying a damaged piece of alien armor recovered from a battlefield. The material was incredibly advanced, but the design told an interesting story. The armor's not just for protection, she explained to the gathered military leaders. It's also a support system. Based on these readings, I believe the aliens evolved on a planet with much higher gravity than Earth. Their bodies are built for crushing pressures, not a relatively lighter environment. This explained why the alien soldiers moved so strangely. Their massive strength, evolved for a high-gravity world, was actually working against them here. They were like deep-sea creatures brought to the surface, powerful but out of their element. The aliens tried to compensate with technology, but they couldn't completely overcome their physical limitations. Their rigid battle formations, once thought to be a tactical choice, were actually a necessity. They needed to move carefully to maintain balance in Earth's lighter gravity. Tom's unit put this knowledge to the test in their next engagement. Instead of meeting the aliens head-on, They used quick hit-and-run tactics. The human soldiers darted between cover, forcing the aliens to constantly turn and adjust their position. Every movement seemed to frustrate the invaders more. "They're not used to this kind of fighting," Tom reported after the successful mission. "They expect us to stand and fight in formation like they do. When we don't, they don't know how to respond." Dr. Reed made another breakthrough while studying captured alien technology. The Dominion's weapons and shields were incredibly advanced, but they were also standardized. Every piece of equipment was identical, following the same rigid patterns as their tactics. This discovery gave Earth its first ray of hope. The aliens' supposedly superior weapons weren't designed for Earth's specific conditions. They were still devastating, but not as overwhelming as they should have been. The Dominion's response was to send in ground forces. Landing ships descended through the atmosphere, touching down in strategic locations around the globe. The alien soldiers that emerged were tall and heavily armored, moving with obvious strain in Earth's gravity. The first battle between human and alien forces took place outside a military base in Nevada. The alien warriors were stronger than humans and protected by personal shield technology, but they moved slowly. Earth's soldiers quickly learned to use this to their advantage. What the aliens expected to be a quick victory turned into a drawn-out firefight. Captain Jack Ross, leading the defense of the base, noticed something else important. "They don't adapt," he reported over the radio. "They keep using the same tactics even after they stop working. It's like they can't think on their feet." The battle raged for hours. The aliens had better weapons and armor, but human soldiers were faster and more creative. They used the terrain, changed tactics, and worked together in ways that seemed to confuse the invaders. When the fighting finally ended, the defenders had held their ground. The cost was high. Nearly half the base's personnel were dead or wounded, but they had proved something crucial. The aliens could be fought. Similar stories started coming in from around the world. The Dominion's forces were powerful but inflexible. They struggled with Earth's gravity and atmosphere. Their weapons, while advanced, weren't working at full efficiency. Most importantly, they didn't seem to know how to handle opponents who kept changing strategies. James watched all this from the observatory, which had been converted into a military command center. He noticed a pattern in the alien ship movements that worried him. "They're positioning themselves for a larger attack," he warned, "probably planning to hit multiple targets at once." But now Earth had a chance to prepare. The first wave of attacks had revealed valuable information about the enemy's weaknesses. Scientists around the world were already working on ways to exploit them. Military leaders were developing new tactics. People everywhere were getting ready for a long fight. As the sun set on that first day of the invasion, James looked up at the sky. The alien ships were visible now, glowing points of light among the stars. They thought they would find an easy target, a primitive world ready to be conquered. Instead, they had awakened a unified human race ready to fight for its survival. The real war was just beginning, and humanity had no intention of making it easy for the invaders. The Dominion was about to learn a hard lesson. Never underestimate humans fighting for their home. The red warning light on Dr. James Miller's desktop monitor started blinking at exactly 3:47 a.m. He rubbed his tired eyes, wondering if he should have gone home hours ago, instead of staying late at the Global Space Observatory. The computer had detected something unusual near Mars. Multiple objects slowing down from faster-than-light travel. At first, he thought it was a mistake. FTL travel wasn't possible, at least not according to current human science. He double-checked the readings, then triple-checked them. The objects were massive, each one bigger than the largest ships ever built on Earth, and they were definitely slowing down. He reached for his phone with shaking hands and called the observatory's director. Within an hour, the quiet building was buzzing with activity. Scientists rushed between computer terminals, checking and rechecking data. Military officials arrived, their faces grim as they looked at the readings. "How many ships are there?" asked General David Thompson, his voice tight with concern. 27 large vessels," James answered, pointing at the screen, and what looks like hundreds of smaller ones. They're arranging themselves in attack formation around Mars. The word attack hung heavy in the air. Nobody wanted to say what they were all thinking. Earth was about to face its first alien contact, and it didn't look friendly. The next 12 hours passed in a blur. World leaders were notified. Military forces went on high alert. News leaked to the public, causing a mix of panic and excitement around the globe. Some people rushed to stores to stock up on supplies, while others gathered in streets and parks, looking up at the sky with hope and fear. Then the message came. It appeared on every screen, every phone, every digital device on Earth. The aliens called themselves the Dominion. Their words were simple and clear. Submit to Dominion rule or face extinction. You have 6 Earth hours to surrender your world. In those 6 hours, something remarkable happened. Nations that had been enemies for generations suddenly found common ground. Old rivalries were set aside. The message that went back to the alien fleet came not from any single country, but from all of humanity. We will not go quietly. The first attack started exactly when the deadline passed. The Dominion ships launched energy weapons that lit up the sky like new suns. Their initial targets were military bases, airports, and naval ports. But something unexpected happened. Their weapons weren't working as well as they should have. Dr. Anna Reed, watching from her lab at the Global Defense Center, was the first to notice it. Their energy weapons are scattering in our atmosphere, she said, excitement creeping into her voice. Look at the readings. They're losing almost 40% of their power before hitting the ground.